How's everybody today? I'm going to share screen so we can see what we're talking about. I'm a visual person. There we go. Nice and big. Nice. Okay. It's so nice to be able to see faces that I recognize every time when I come here. It's fantastic. So I wrote this thing about how low can you go. I've been thinking about the 4-step for a long time, and I was wanting to do a workshop on it, and I thought, ew, I don't know. Nobody's going to want to talk about the 4-step, and duh. Yeah, that's the reason I should do this. So I started thinking about it. How low could I go? I went pretty low. So when my initial 4-step was pretty interesting, I guess in a bad way. My first one made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Who wants to do that? I mean, if you weren't driven to do this, would you sit around someday and, you know what? I think I want to do a fearless and searching moral inventory of myself. Nobody does that. There's a good reason. It's scary. This whole prospect of trying to find out what your role is in certain things is very off-putting, because if I have a part in it, that means I might not be the victim I think I am. And that's not, I didn't really want to take a look at that per se. I like being a victim. But step 4 is a freedom step. It takes a lot of willingness to do this thoroughly. Don't do what I did. I always say that because it's absolutely true. I did everything wrong before I did everything right. I kept something out of my 4-step because it was going to go to my grave with me. I wasn't going to tell my sponsor, who I trusted. I trusted her. But this is something that I was never going to tell anybody about. And when I got done with my 4-step, and I thought, whew, got away with it, right? And then she said, okay, did you forget anything? Oh, she knows. She somehow knows that I'm holding that aside. So I told her about that one too. And then I was free. It all depends on how free you want to be. It's a personal choice. But leaning in is all the courage you're going to need. Every time I hear the word courage, it tells me that I'm going to be afraid and that there's something that I should be afraid of. So courage for me, and I got this from somebody else. I don't have original ideas anymore, thank God. But somebody else said leaning in instead of leaning out is what she means by courage. And I like that, so I'm using that myself. And the only goal of the 4-step truly is to make you aware of yourself. It's not to punish yourself or other people. It's not to upheaval your whole life. It's not to make you think even worse of yourself than you already do. That's not it. It's just to make you aware of yourself and what your personal little quirky picadillos are, so you can go correct them. That's all. Like it tells us in the blue book on page 42. This inventory of ourselves was to be honest and straightforward, not critical or abusive. Straightforward. This is what happened, is straightforward. Critical and abusive, well, I was a dumbass, I did this or that. That's not what we're going, that's not what we're looking for. Please don't do that to yourself. I think that we've done enough of that so far. I don't know about you, but I certainly beat myself up considerably. Perhaps that's what we're afraid of, that the 4-step is going to make us feel worse than we already do. And that is true and not true. It depends on how you do this. If you are straightforward and honest, you'll be a lot better off than if you go in critical and abusive. Be nice to yourself. The things that you did happened because of something else. All these circumstances and situations rolled forward and helped you become what you are right now. That could be good, could be bad, your choice. That can only be true if we allow it. Yeah, the 4-step can make you feel worse if you allow that. If you embark on this with a good attitude and a good heart, you just want to find out what the actual deal is, you'll be okay. If you want to go see, what did I do wrong now? Don't do that to yourself. This is not something you're going to do to yourself. It's what you're going to do for yourself. That's the difference. I love that. Now, my first 4-step was a revelation. It was huge as well. I overdo everything. If it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Kind of my credo. And mine almost had an index and a glossary. It was just huge. I did it on a spreadsheet, boom, gave it to my sponsor. She goes, okay. But it had everything in it, except for that one thing that I held aside, and I did come clean on that one. It told me what I needed to know about myself, who I really was, and not who I thought I was. I had spent my life taking other people's inventory. So I didn't like the idea of turning that spotlight on myself. It's easy to point at other people and say, that is the problem. If she had not said that to me, I wouldn't be angry and have to pay her back right now. I wouldn't have to make her feel bad because she made me feel bad. And that word make her, nobody can make you feel anything. There's a book about it called You Can't Make Me Angry, I think, as I heard about a long time ago. And the concept of that book is true. You can't make me feel anything. I get to choose all of that stuff now. I have all the choices. Now, I used to think I was helpless, hopeless, hapless, but I'm not. A realistic perspective of my past brought forgiveness and peace at last. Not just peace for me, but peace for people I went around. My family could actually not walk on eggshells around me anymore, wondering when I was going to explode in rage or tears. It's different now. We're all, well, most of us are grown-ups now. After I finished my 9th step, my past was resolved. This is important. If you do a very thorough 4-step and bring it 6, 7, 8, 9th step, if you make all your amends, your past is resolved. It's done. And that's all gone now. So now you're just going to concern yourself with the last 24 hours. And you do 4 steps as you need them. I love the 10th step because it doesn't concern my whole entire life. It's just talking about the last 24 hours. That's it. That's all I'm dealing with anymore. What could I have done better? What were my victories? What were my, little things? Oh, gosh, if I had said that instead of this, I probably would have been better. Note to self. But it's not the big, gigantic, gee, I shouldn't have robbed that bank today. It's not big. It's just small now, which is good. The only time that I need to do a 4-step is when I'm not practicing acceptance. This is really basic. If you are, well, I'm going to read about acceptance in just a moment, but if you're upset about something, it's because you are not in acceptance. It's not somebody else doing something to you. Nobody does things to you. Let me tell you what I mean by that. This is out of the big book of AA, off of one of the stories of one of the people that wrote in. And acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it's supposed to be at this moment. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. Boy, when I first read about that, I thought, well, that doesn't seem right because people keep doing things to me. They keep harming me. They're saying things. They laugh when I leave the room. They talk sideways to, and they look at me funny and stuff like that. This can't be my imagination. Yeah, it can. It can. I made up a lot of things so that I could keep the idea that I'm not as good as everybody else. I don't know why we want to do that to ourselves, but it seems like we're our worst enemies. We're our own common foe. Mary R. Boy, she's great, isn't she? I love it when she talks. And she said this a number of times. She says, what you think shapes the way you feel. And I'm going to give you an example of that in just a minute, but just think about that. Write it down if you would. This is really, really important. What I think about something shapes the way I feel about it. And here's my example. For example, I got my class schedule for the coming year and I shared it with my friends who told me, oh no, you got Mrs. Smith for algebra. She is terrible. She's really mean. So before I even started the class, I didn't like Mrs. Smith and I was afraid of her. because my friends had told me, and they wouldn't lie, right? But they were telling me about their experience, and they might have had it third hand too. I hadn't made my own judgment. I had let somebody else tell me how I should feel. And I didn't do very well in her class because I came in with a grudge and a chip on my shoulder and a lot of fear. So what happened with that? I'm going to tell you. I did a quick little 4-step on this, and I'll show you how it went. Poor Mrs. Smith, if that was actually her name. This is like 50 years ago, so it may or may not have been her name. How low can you go worksheet? What was said or done? Mrs. Smith gave me a D in math. It was algebra, to be more specific. I just really wasn't very good at math. And unfortunately, this was in 4th grade. They put me in an accelerated class because I did so well in 3rd grade. And this was not a good idea for me because once I got behind, I stayed behind because I wouldn't ask for help. What did it affect? It affected me intellectually and emotionally. Let me see if I got it in here. I'm not sure if I put it in, but I will. Okay, hold on. What pattern did I react with? Avoidance. Specifically, I suppressed feelings or needs to avoid feeling vulnerable. So I wouldn't interact with her. I wouldn't raise my hand. I would dodge if she was asking questions. My old idea, if I keep to myself, she won't notice me and she might leave me alone. Then I'll be happy. What pattern did I use to keep that relationship with her going? Again, avoidance. I didn't ask for help when I got behind and I really needed it. I didn't dare. And go back because I should have added this and I didn't, and I will. What pattern did I react with? Suppressed feelings or needs to avoid feeling vulnerable? Heck yes. I was raised, and anybody who's heard me talk, I talk about my sisters all the time. I've got one older, one younger, straight A students, thinner than I was. They were the golden children, and they already had these teachers. So, well, my older one had these teachers. So I'm following 1 year behind her, some of the same teachers, and she did great in these classes, and I did not. And so I went in already knowing that I'm not as smart as she is. I'm not going to do as well. The teacher's not going to like me as well. So anything that happened that was said or done to me just reaffirmed that notion that I already had in my head. It wasn't true. This lady didn't even know me. I didn't know her. I didn't give her a chance to know me at all. And here's the big question. How was your pride affected? Once you get to the part where your pride was affected, that's when you're in the middle of the onion. When you're peeling the layers away, when you get to the part where it makes you feel stupid or makes you not look very good, that's your pride that's getting involved. And it just confirmed at that point that I wasn't as smart as everyone else. For example, my 2 thinner sisters. What were the consequences to the relationship? Fear kept me away from her, which was ridiculous. She seemed like a nice person, but I had been warned about her. So I didn't even try to have a relationship with her. Everybody else seemed to be doing really well. But I knew that for me, since I'd been warned, don't let her fool you type of thing. I just thought, well, we're not going to take that chance. What would I say or do differently now? When I need help now, I ask for help because it doesn't mean I'm stupid anymore. I didn't have to get a D in that class. I didn't. I brought that on myself. I asked for it. That's 4-step right there. Nice, short, simple, sweet 4-step. And this is what you can do anytime you're upset. Let me get back to my PowerPoint. Oh, sorry, I'm singing again. When my grade reflected my behavior, I got mad at her, thinking it confirmed what my friends had said about her, and passing all that information to other people so they would be warned. Don't think I didn't pass this information on. I told everybody so that they would be on guard. Truth is, algebra was not my best subject, and I was too afraid to ask her for help, fearing what she might say or do to me. If you get stuck on a 4th step, thinking, what is my part in this? Start your sentence with, well, the truth is, and it'll come out. The part that makes you not look very good will come flying right out. And I earned that grade. I'm lucky I didn't flunk out. It was ironic, actually. We went to take the final, and of course, I was getting ready to cheat because that was the only way I had to pass the class. And this was so humiliating. I forgot I should have put this in here. She pulled my desk with me sitting in my chair, grabbed a hold of it and pulled it all the way to the front of the room. So I couldn't cheat off of anybody. Now, these days, she'd probably get a lawsuit from the civil rights people or whatever. But then she just wanted me to take the test on my own. And I took that test on my own and I got a B minus. I was flunking out of that class and I got a B minus on that test because I had to use my own thinking. So I got a D instead of an F. Words to live by. You know, if I had used my own thinking instead of cheating most of the time because I knew I wasn't smart enough, probably would have done better. I'll tell you a little story I heard it again on Facebook, which is a wealth of philosophical wisdom, trust me. And this guy was talking about when he was younger, he was really a slacker. And he went and took the SAT test knowing that he wouldn't do well on it. It's just whatever, you know, took the test and he came out with a surprisingly high score. And he was like, oh my God, I thought I was stupid. I didn't realize I was smart. Well, shoot, I mean, if I got those grades, what would I like to do with my life? He went to college. He had no intention of going to college. Years later, he found out that he had been given the wrong score. His was really low. But he had made a self-made man, went on to make millions and is now a speaker, motivational speaker and things like this, because the idea that he thought he was smarter than he did on that test motivated him into doing what he was actually capable of. That's a neat story. And it kind of fits in with this one really good. So we have, I don't like that slide. It's hard to read. Let me put my worksheet back up. Okay, I'm going to put the worksheet back up and ask for people to join in. And let's do a worksheet with anybody who wants to raise their hand. We'll plug in the information and resolve some things here today. We can do it. Who wants to give it a shout? Anything that's upset you recently? Anybody or anything? What pattern are you reacting with? Let's find out which one. I have a really neat spreadsheet that has all the patterns on one page. Let me find it real quick. Hold on. This one's really cool. I love this. One of my sponsees did this just when he was doing his 4-step. I said, man, this is fantastic. So you said low self-esteem. Which one of those do you think fits most? Not or unlovable, not worthwhile. Yeah, I get stuck with that one too. What was your old idea? This is important. Your old idea is if I say this or do that, then they will say this or do that, and then I'll be happy. If I, for example, in this case, if I give him my phone number, he will call me immediately, and then I'll be happy. Might be an old idea. Now, what pattern are you using right now to keep the relationship going? Are you using control, denial, low self-esteem, compliance, or avoidance? Let's take a look at that spreadsheet again. So in avoidance, what do we have here? Avoid intimacy as a way to maintain distance. Indirect or evasive communication to avoid conflict. Oh, that might be the one right there. Because what you want to tell him would not be appropriate just yet. How was your pride affected, hon? I mean, if you've only known him for a very, very short time, and are you concerned that he's not going to like you, that he doesn't like you as much as you initially thought he did? What are the consequences to the relationship now? You don't even want to talk to him. What are the consequences? What would you do differently? Yeah. Because really, if you are when you first meet somebody, you're introducing them to your representative. That's who you want them to think you are. They're doing the same thing. If you come in as yourself, you don't have to change. You don't have to maintain that. You don't have to keep remembering, okay, don't say this or do that because he might not like that or do this, whatever. If you go in as yourself, he either likes you or he doesn't. And really, I used to go in as my representative and then try to stay that way. That's hard. Trying to maintain that facade of what I was thinking he wanted. I didn't even ask him anything about it. I just made some assumptions and filled in my own blanks. So the bottom line here, when you meet him tomorrow, be yourself. Go as very simple to do. These are really quick. And you know, after a while, you get a boop, boop right in your head. Let's have another one. Who else wants to do this? Another brave soul. Who or what is the problem today? Well, okay, so you're upset with yourself. Did somebody else say something to you or to make you upset, or is it just a feeling that you had? So do you see how you set yourself up for this? By the way, I mean, going in, I know I'm not going to be able to do this correctly. I'm going to screw this up, and it kind of makes that happen. The self-fulfilling prophecy. At least for me, when I think I'm going to do badly, I make all kinds of mistakes. It's ridiculous. Okay. What did it affect? Did it affect you emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually, or intellectually? Okay. And what pattern did you react with when this was going on? Was it control, low self-esteem, compliance, denial, or avoidance? That seems to be the biggest one for low self-esteem. It's what we do to ourselves. Nobody else is saying that. You know, we do that to our own selves. Okay. Consider myself unlovable. Oh, there we are. Okay. Okay. What was your old idea during this? If I say or do this, they will say or do that, and then I'll be happy. And then you'll be happy. Okay. What pattern are you using to keep the relationship going, to keep this, to keep going through this thing that was happening? What did you use? How was your pride affected when this was going on? Start the sentence with, well, the truth is, because the truth is, if you had been able to do all this work flawlessly, these people would have loved you. But if you can't do it, then they won't love you. Let me ask you something. You said there was a comparison to somebody else. How'd you come out in that comparison, high or low? Okay. He or she did it better. That's where your pride is. And what's the consequences? Are you ever going to pull something like this again? I mean, are you ever going to try to do something like this again? Nevermore. Okay. What would you do differently? There you go. Yeah, you got to put yourself first. That's really the only thing that you did wrong is you didn't put yourself first. You put yourself out of balance to make other people happy. And that never works out. It just doesn't. But you learned something really good from this. You can throw a boundary. Hold on. I need to know, number one, all the facts, and then I'll think about it and get back to you. It's okay to say, let me think about it. I didn't know that, but it's absolutely okay. So, okay. Well, thank you very much for contributing. I appreciate it. This is scary. Thanks a lot. Okay. Who or what was upsetting? How did it affect you? Emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually, or intellectually? Wow, this is a tricky one. Okay. What pattern did you react with, Lisa? Let me put those up on the thing for you. When this happened, what pattern did you react with? Okay. What is your old idea? If I say or do this, they will say or do that, and then I'll be happy. I've been faced with your situation before, and my old idea was, if I can accomplish all this work, then they'll really value me as an employee and I'll be happy. Yeah, I'm going to be seen. There you go. I like that. Let's put that in there. Now, what pattern are you using to keep that relationship going? This is where those other patterns are going to come in. That the talking in the oh shoot, you said it. And then there was another one. What are you doing now? I mean, you don't feel very good about the situation. How are you keeping yourself there? So that's kind of what you're doing now. If I speak out, they're not going to like me at all. How's your pride affected? You get all rushed and everything, start making mistakes. It's no good. I know what you mean by that. My pride was affected because I thought I was doing the most that I could do to begin with. And apparently they didn't think that highly of me. They thought I should be doing way more. That's how it affected me. You know, I guess they don't think much of me. What is the consequence to the relationship with your employer? You're going to keep the things the way they are now, or are you going to speak up? What are you afraid of? Yep, I get that one too. And the one that speaks up is the one that gets fired. I mean, it's just not cool, but that seems to be, okay, we got to get rid of this person. I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. So are you going to continue this job or are you looking for a different job? Yeah, and what I did in this situation is I started doing the footwork, and when the other job came along that I was supposed to have, it was there. It was beautiful. I'm happy. It's awesome, more than I could have dreamt of. So keep that open for yourself, okay? Start kind of feeling out other options. What would I really like to do? What is this job doing to me right now? What's it taking away from me? Because it turned out it's taken a turn. Now it's on the dark side. It's no good anymore. It's not like it was. If they can't get another person or, you know, take some of this off your plate, you might have to go. Don't be scared. My sponsor told me when I thought I was going to have to get a different job, I thought they were firing me to replace me with somebody who didn't cost so much. She said, well, you know, it's not so much that you're afraid of losing your job as you're too lazy to go get another one. I'm thinking, wait a minute, what are you talking about? The hell? And she was right. I was too lazy to go interview for a job, get retrained, meet new people, new situation. I was already set in what I had. So make sure that's not holding you where you are. Okay. Yes. I wish you the very best. And I would like you, if you would, to reach out to your higher powers for courage, lean in instead of lean out. Remember that you are more than worth what they're giving you. You know, good stuff. That one's woo-hoo. Man, that gives me shivers. It just reminds me of what I went through. We're at the top of the hour. We're going to take a dance break or some kind of break, I believe. So get something together for me. Get a situation. We will walk through all of this stuff, try to figure it out together. And then you can start doing these things right in your head real fast. Okay. Let's see. Got that. Asked me a question. He said, can I make a list of things I need to say or do to potentially stressful situations? Yes and no. There's a difference between planning and plotting. Okay. Planning is what she's going to do when she goes into that meeting. She's going to have her strengths and weaknesses written down, what she can do and what she can't do, and she's going to be organized. She's not going to have a list of, if you say this, I'm going to say that. That's plotting. Before you go into any sort of a stressful situation, if you have time to take that little pause, don't forget that you can say, let me think about that, or I'll get back to you. You don't have to have an answer just because you're in the room with somebody. Hope that answers your question. Okay, let's see here. Let's get back to the worksheet go. Oh, that's fascinating. Here it is. Now, share that one. How low can you go? Okay, who is up next? What did it affect? Did it affect you emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually, or intellectually? Okay, got it. Yep, I am, man, I've been there too. Okay, what pattern did you react with when this was going on? Let's see, let me get that pattern page up. What did you react to when they started telling you all these things? How did you react? What did you feel? What was your old idea? Meaning, if I say or do this or that, then they'll say or do this or that, and then I'll be happy. What were you thinking that was going to happen? Right. Okay. So what pattern are you using with that relationship now? How is your pride affected by this? Basically, they're telling you, if you buy that house, we can't be friends with you anymore. You know? Okay. What were the consequences to their relationship? Now that you didn't buy the house, so they said they were going to do all this stuff with you. Doesn't sound like they did that stuff with you. Wow. Okay, so this seems very simple to me now. Maybe not to you. I don't know. What would you say or do differently now? You know, what's interesting to me is that these people were abusive with you, but you couldn't leave them. And that's what you really want to take a look at right there. That's the heart of this. You know, I'm going to encourage you to look at why you needed these people to be your friends if they were so abusive. That's the big thing here. But if you do a 4-step like this, it'll bring that out. Wait a minute. What? I mean, if they're so abusive, why do I give a damn about them anyway? When somebody says something like that to you, this is important. Don't just disregard it. Thank you. I mean, there's so much gratitude when somebody shows me who they are.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm like, thank you so much. Now okay, thank you. Because I could have wasted years on you. That is a splendid way to try to make somebody feel bad about throwing a boundary up. It's a good reminder when somebody starts throwing that stuff at you, they're just upping the ante. That's all it is. Okay. They're just upping the ante to get you to do what they need you to do at that moment. Don't fall for that. I get it. Here's the thing. Because we're in CODA now, our goal is not to tell the rest of the world what they get to say or do around us. Our goal is to not get hurt by what they say or do. Got to figure out, why is that still bothering me? Because these are friends of yours. You know that you trust them, that they wouldn't hurt you. So there's a reason that you're still getting hurt. There's some work that you still have to do on this. I wish I could do more for you right now, but if you have already done a 4-step on the people that brought you that pain to begin with, do it again. Do a more thorough 5th step, do your 9th step, work all of those steps thoroughly so that you can get rid of these people, because they're just going to stay there until you take action. And the whole world's going to be able to hurt you. And they don't mean to. I didn't realize that either. I didn't realize the whole world wasn't trying to hurt me. People with these just casual comments who just floor me. For what? They're just being goofy, you know. People say weird things. They don't know they don't know what it's doing to you. I wish I could get into this deeper with you. I wish we had more time, or maybe one-on-one, but I just really, I got to tell you that the power is in the steps. What I'm going to say now is that it doesn't sound like you love yourself very much. Because if you did, none of these things would bother you at all. It's an odd thing when my boyfriend can tease me about being fat or something, and I'm a little bit heavier than I want to be right now, but I love myself. But I just laugh at him and say, "Hey, oh, hurry, you know." It's none of that stuff bothers me anymore, because I love myself just like I am. Negatively affected by people? I don't think so. In my experience, once I learned to love myself as I actually am, and not what I thought I could make of myself, or what I could be if I just looked differently, then things started to change. Things bounce off me now that used to just floor me for no reason. People, and if you know that these people aren't trying to hurt you, then you're hurting yourself. I know that sounds strange, but they're not trying to hurt you. So if you're getting hurt, you must be the one doing it. It's unhealthy behavior. Progress, not perfection. I think if you're the only one that can work on that. Nobody else can make these feelings go away. So you're going to need to work diligently on that. These are my friends. I know they're not trying to hurt me, and release that. You know. That's the thing. It's Dwayne, and that's a very good point, Dwayne. I'm sorry, I forgot to point this out. It's not your adult that's responding to these people, it's your little boy. You know, the little kid that's still inside you. He's the one that needs healing, not you. Yeah, if it's your little child that's waking up and going, hey, why he's hurting me, and going to war. My sponsor put it this way: whenever her little girl would wake up and go to war with somebody, she'd say, honey, you take a nap. I got this one. I got this, and let the adult take over. They're really good. So, well, it sounds like you're learning. You're on your way. Correct. That's your little girl fighting, getting up. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's not fair. If you have that weird sense of fairness like I did, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's your little girl. Okay.
Oh,
Send her out to play. I got this one, and make sure you go in as the adult version of yourself, and don't react to things, respond to things. That's the difference. Reactions are your little girl. What I'd like to see you start asking yourself is, why did you pick him? So that you don't do it again. I'd also like to see you write a gratitude list about him. There are going to be things like, don't do this again. I was just thinking that's a joke that I tell people. Just the easiest way to learn what to do is don't do what I did, right? So your gratitude list oftentimes is, thank you for showing me who you were. Now I know what to watch out for. Thank you for showing me all those signs that I disregarded, So now I know what to watch out for. Here's the thing: if you're still feeling that tug of the ex, you're not qualified to have a new relationship because you just picked the same guy. Have you run the steps yet? Okay, make sure you run the steps with a sponsor in the order they're given, just like it says in the book. Do it thoroughly and methodically. This is for you. It's not for anyone else. By the time you get done with those steps, you will qualify to have a decent relationship. And you will start attracting people who are not abusive for a change, because that's what you're attracting right now. It's like my friend said, the horns on my head match the holes in his head perfectly. If you are not qualified, you're going to have the same experience over and over. There we go. Okay, so for my amend with this teacher, back to the one that gave me a D, okay? Couldn't get a hold of her, don't know how to get a hold of her. This was like 50 years ago. So for my amend, I took a free online algebra course, and I actually like it. I really enjoy it because I understand it now. I took the time to learn it, and now it's like a puzzle, and I really have fun with it. So as it turns out, I'm not stupid after all. It's just another lie I was telling myself. Okay, so that I worked all the steps on Mrs. Smith, and now I'm done. Where did I get that lie? Both of my sisters were straight A students, and I wasn't. So obviously I'm stupid. I put my mother's face on the teacher's face and assumed that they were seeing me the same way. I never saw my teacher, I saw my mom. I'm responsible for that. She isn't. She didn't do anything to me. Page 49 of the Code of Blue book tells us today we are not victims. We can't blame people, places, or things for our problems or codependent behaviors anymore. Bummer, but this is actually a gift. It's a gift. It's a good thing. Step 4 helps us see, accept, and begin loving ourselves as we are. Start now. What have we got to lose? Start right now. And that's what I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. I cannot believe how fast the time goes by when we do these things. It's unbelievable. But I appreciate everybody being here and all your participation.